to look at the
It's not even clicking live yet.
I can see everybody on screen. I can see it, Amanda,
Okay.
cell phones. I can't see you, Nomsa, but I can see you on Amanda's phone, and I can see Nick, and I can see myself.
Okay, I think it's working.
I think you guys are live.
Okay. All right, welcome to the talk show today. We're having some technology. So our topic today is, I forget, because I'm too scattered because I'm stressed about the technology piece. So can somebody else start for me?
Thank you. Now, Amanda, we're talking today about whatever you seek is what you get, which I think is a brilliant title. It's something that's so prevalent, I think, in the world of coaching. And so let's just start it first of all. It's whatever you think about, you get. So if you ever had the notion when you're driving along, let's say you buy a brand new red car, you've been thinking for months, you buy this red car and you want to get it, and you go out and you go driving in this red car, only to find that it seems that almost everybody else on the road also has a red car. Well, of course they don't, but your mind is focused more on this. So you start noticing more about what you're thinking about, and you start attracting more of what you get. I was talking about this at the weekend. I was speaking at an empowerment weekend, and we was talking about a thing called the reticular activating system, or the RAS, which is in your brain, which is that rather like Google. If you put something in it, it will go and search out for what you're looking for. So if you go out there thinking the whole world's bad, everyone's out to get me, guess what? That's exactly what you're going to find. Conversely, if you go out there looking for really good people who are really trying to help you, who are trying to create good things in the world, you tend to find those too. So be careful, because whatever you're seeking is what you're looking for. Back to you, Amanda.
It's funny because I have a master's in technology, and yet making me sometimes isn't seeking me. No, I completely agree with you. When you want something, like if you look, like you were saying with the car, when you start to notice that car everywhere. You look and it's almost like, oh, I've never even seen that car before, and then that type of car or that color of car just pops up everywhere. And even it's funny, like a group of my friends, we all have white cars with white SUVs, and it's like we didn't plan it. We just all, I guess, are seeking that white SUV. But no, even when I find sometimes people who are really, really negative, and this is the type of scenario that I grew up in, is that they just find more negative to surround themselves with constantly. And when you seek that negative out, it's just more negative comes. And it's really hard sometimes when you get into that negative cycle to take a step back and be like, whoa, I'm bringing this on myself. If you think life sucks, then yeah, you're going to just keep seeing all those reasons why life sucks or why life is horrible. And yet, if you look for the beauty in life, you're going to see more of the beauty in life. The more that you look for that beauty, the more you're going to see, and you'll see it in like little baby smiles at the grocery store, or pets, or even in your friendships. You'll just have that like gratitude. When you seek out gratitude, you find more things to be grateful for. And that's something that I see all the time. And so it's really really interesting how that pops up. Nick, what do you think? And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to touch on something that Grant was talking about, and then I'll go into an intro. So yeah, Grant, I love that like scientific explanation with the reticular activating system, and how it basically what's necessary, right? There's just so much input every second of every day, right? Like as we're walking around, you just can't pay attention to all of those things. So that RAS is your filter between your conscious and your subconscious. So what becomes in your conscious mind, so that red car goes from if you didn't have that thought, oh, I have a red car, then you would just drive by those red cars all day and not even notice, right? But yeah, once you put that intention or that energy into the red car, it's your mind is just like, oh, I guess red cars are important to this guy, so I guess we'll just pay attention to those things. And so yeah, that's it's interesting to think of how much passes by and is just on that subconscious level, just the day-to-day things that it's so much input, right, in our day-to-day lives. So I love that. I want to go more into, I think, the spiritual, I guess, side of that, more like energetically, what you seek and what you desire, on like more of a, positive attract or law of attraction kind of side thing. But first of all, I'll just introduce myself quickly. So my name is Nick. I am a founder of a clothing company here in Canada. I was previously a police officer for 17 years. And when that career was no longer in alignment for me, I sought something else. And here I am in a completely different world here in a very short order. So that's a little bit about me. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Nick. My name's Grant Morell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and an international best-selling author. And over the past 20 years, myself and an international team have helped thousands of entrepreneurs, business owners, and organizations across 15 countries. We've helped them to increase their profits by up to 200% in just a few short months. Essentially by working with the team, the systems, their mindset, and the strategy, so that they can live a life of passion, purpose, and freedom, and develop a business and a lifestyle to last for generations to come. But these days, I have a vision. I'm building a global movement of 1 million leaders to take them to live life without limits by helping them to clearly communicate their message with the world. That's who I am, and I'm very excited by today's subject. Amanda, how about yourself?
I'm a teacher, an author, and an illustrator, and I help people connect to their unique creative capacities within themselves and find purpose and passion through that, because I believe we are all infinitely creative when we tap into our own gifts, and that will just uplift your whole life when you start to do that. And so when you start seeking out your creativity and your gifts, you'll find more spaces for that, which ties right into our topic today. Grant, you were saying you were speaking about this on the weekend. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how you were speaking on this exact topic and then we're talking on it?
Absolutely. Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, it was an empowerment weekend, where we actually teach people how to overcome limiting beliefs, how to control their thoughts and understand how the mind works. So, we were walking on hot coals. We did walking on hot coals, walking on broken glass, breaking arrows on the throat, all this kind of stuff. Obviously supported with lectures, workshops, and showing how people to do that. Obviously, it's done by trained professionals who know exactly how to coach you through doing it, and nobody got hurt. Nobody, and they never do. But yes, we were talking about the mind, controlling your mind, what you feed your mind with. People always say, be careful what you eat. It goes inside your body. Yeah, it does. It's true. Be careful what you read. Be careful of the company you keep, the supportive environment you put you in. I often talk about this. Are you in a winning environment, one that's going to hope and support and generate your dreams with you? Or is it going to be one that gets in the way? When I coach people, I find that the environment that people have been in makes a huge impact on what they dare to give themselves permission to achieve. Hugely so, huge. And while I was there, I had a client who had a huge issue with a family. And I spent some time doing some triage on the call with them. But when we're talking about the reticular activating system, this is what you find. Whatever you expect is what you get. So, I mean, what the subject of today's talk, of course, is about what you seek is seeking you. Absolutely. It's looking for you if you want to look for it. So be very careful about what it is you go looking for. As someone once said, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. Very, very true. Very true. And also be careful of what you're imagining. So when people say, oh, I can't imagine that's going to turn out very well, well, you pretty much put that marker on it, haven't you? Because you're then looking for evidence, because the human brain is an evidence-based tool. So it will go seeking for evidence to support that belief. So if you believe everybody's bad and they're against you, you go looking for evidence. Why? Because we love to say, don't we? We love to say, I told you so. So the brain will look out for the evidence that will support you. If you want any more evidence of this, people will often say, have you ever heard someone say this to you? You will make a comment and people will say, oh, you're absolutely right. What they really mean is, I agree with you. In fact, you could both be wrong. I could be completely wrong and they could just be agreeing with that. But because I've said it and it agrees with what they think, they say, hey, Grant, oh my God, you're absolutely right. So we believe, but we could be wrong. But for them, that's absolute evidence. It's not evidence at all. It's a belief that is yet to be proven. But this is the way people, you hear this in everyday conversation and it makes me laugh. Sometimes I say to them, well, yeah, we think we're right, you know? So be careful of what you're thinking. Be careful of what you're saying. You know, the word in our industry, try, is almost like a criminal offense to say try. You can't try, you're either doing it or you're not. You know, you invite your friend to a party and say, yeah, I'll try to come. You know, they're not going to be there, right? So it's the word you're putting out. What are you looking for? So here's a question for everybody. When you wake up in the morning, how do you expect your day to go? What's your desired outcome and what do you anticipate is going to happen? Be honest with yourselves. How do you play your day out? Because by and large, I mean, there's always an abnormality. But usually the way you predict your day is pretty much the day it works out, pretty much that way. So think of it this way. You may have a tricky meeting coming up, or there's someone in the team, or there's someone in your family, you've got to go and see a family member and you think, oh, them, those kind of people, right? Oh my God, it's going to be bad. They're going to say this, they're going to do that, they're going to be thinking that, they're going to be huffing above it, and it's going to go wrong. Don't think that. Even if that may formally have been your thoughts around the person, think about it connecting well. You're going to connect with them. You're going to smile, because don't go in thinking like that, because you're going to get that kind of reaction back. Just go in being open-hearted, being warm, being generous, literally see your heart beaming out to them, spreading love. I've literally done this, right? When you got a tricky, you're spreading your heart, giving love and looking for the very, very best in them to try to understand their point of view, not yours, theirs, where they're coming from, and try to achieve the common goal. And see how they could be a great person if you know what buttons to press, not in a manipulative way, but in a really conducive way. Try to think of that and try to get on and find something in common, a common goal, to try to help them and be beaming love as you do, and understanding, and really be into them. When you do, nearly always the outcome is way, way better than you had anticipated in the past. So try that method and let me know how you think you get on with it. It makes your day a lot better, the outcome is smoother, and it can often really open up relationships that have otherwise been tense. That's what I wanted to say. Nick, have you got any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I love that. Number one, that's a great way to start any day for sure. And then I was just thinking too, like for me, maybe more on the spiritual side. So at the beginning of my day, I'll pray and just pray to have a good day and for everything to go smoothly and for the meeting to go well. And it's basically the same thing, just I guess more kind of putting it on the universe to give you that, rather than the way you describe it as more it's on you. But either way, I think it's a really, really positive way to look at and to go into your day. Absolutely, I love that. And then as you were talking to, I was just thinking about how you're very much right, that when someone says something that you agree with, you say, oh yeah, you're right, and how that's not always the case. And I couldn't help but think about just what's happened in the last few years in the world, and how I believe we are so controlled by social media and the media in general, and just the way the algorithms work now, because they basically just feed you what you already have shown an interest in. And so they're just affirming whatever belief you have is just being reaffirmed every day in your news feed, in your stories, in everything, because those algorithms are just there to keep your eyes on the screen, right? And so they want to do that by feeding you things that you agree with, and then how that can just drive a wedge between reality and what your beliefs are. So here in North America, we have, or I guess more in the United States, but have Fox and CNN, and they're like, it's not even the same planet. If you watch one of those news stations compared to the other, it's like not it's not even the same world or issues at all. And so what that is doing is just feeding you your belief. And this is something that I wasn't even aware of actually leading up to basically early 2020. For a number of reasons, I just always watched CNN. It was just always what was on. And so I truly believed that Trump, for example, was like the worst, because that's what CNN talks about all day. And I was completely unaware that if you watched Fox and you believed like that was your media, then you were getting the exact opposite of what CNN was saying. And then that just divides all of us, because when you meet someone let's say I'm a CNN guy and I meet a Fox guy, they automatically are like, we're so far apart, because we just have these like just over or insurmountable differences in how we believe, and we can't even understand how someone would be so silly to believe anything else, because our opinions are just force-fed back to us all the time. I think that's a huge problem. I don't necessarily know how to overcome that, but it's something that I've definitely been aware of. But on the positive side, yes, absolutely. Let's start our day with, let's think about how amazing everything could go. Yeah, and you'll be amazed at how amazing it can go, for sure. Amanda, what do you think?
Thanks, Grant. He was just helping me with my name because I'm signed on as Nomza to get the videos going today. But I agree with you. I like what you said about it depends on what you're fed, what you're seeking. It will just come back to you, and it's seeking you. So if you believe one thing, and what I really think is really interesting is looking at, if it's something like political, like you were saying, if you look at both sides. So in any situation like that, my answer is like, let's look at research from all sides. Let's look at all of the like extreme differences, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And so because I'm seeking that, that's what I come to. And I think that if more people did that, maybe we'd have a little bit more empathy for others, because we'd be like, whoa, okay, that there's extremes on all ends of this, like that the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And even in the classroom, that's what I find is when kids are mad at each other, they'll be like, so and so did this, and then it's like, so and so did this, and then really the truth is like they both have a little bit of guilt in any situation. And so as a teacher and as an educator, I always try to look at that, to look at both sides, to be really neutral on it, and then come to some sort of answer by looking at both sides. And I liked what Grant was saying about getting up in the morning, because that's one of the things that I try to do too, because I'm not really good at getting out of bed. So I will lay in bed and I will like spend 10 minutes. I'd spend 10 minutes of either like doing a meditation or just being like, okay, being what's all these things that I can be grateful for before I get out of bed. And that just seems to really shift my day, even though I don't love getting out of bed. But that's something that's so important, and it's something that I learned from reading Louise Hay's books and listening to her meditations. And I know she's since passed on, but I'll still listening to her morning meditation sometimes, because it's all about just gratitude and sending love ahead to the different things that you're going to do today. And I think that's such a like powerful practice, is when you send love ahead, then good things are going to happen. And they're not always going to happen, but at least if you're like sending the best intention ahead, then the best intention can come back to you. And it also was tied into the summit that we were on, that some of us were on this weekend, that Nomza had run. And I was on with Alvin Law, and Alvin Law is a motivational speaker. He's from Canada as well, and he has no arms, and he goes and he speaks, and he came on and he was just like vibrating like positive energy, and you could like feel it through the screen, and it was just so empowering to talk to him. And I actually remember him coming to my high school and playing the piano with his feet and playing the whatever his other musical instrument he played was with his feet, but I remember specifically the piano. And I just remember being like, so that was one thing in my life that like completely, I was like, changed my outlook on life, because I remember him coming in. I remember growing up in this family that looked at everything as so negative. And then this guy comes to our school, he has no arms, and he plays the piano, and he like just had like such a love for life, and all of everything he had to say was like so inspiring. And he wasn't like fake about the inspiration either. He's like, yeah, things are hard. Things are hard for me, but it's all about my mindset and how I can be like, okay, this is hard, but I can do it. I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to overcome these obstacles with different supports, right? And so he even talked about on the summit how there was a school right across the street from his house when he was younger, and his mom was like, they said he couldn't go to that school because they had never had people with disabilities there, even though he was very, very smart, but the physical disabilities. And his mom was like, no, you're going to the school right across the street. It makes no sense for us to send you across the district just to go to school when there's a school right across the street. And essentially he was one of the first people with a disability let into the school, and he could do all of the things with accommodations. And he was such a like studious student, and just like how empowered it must have been for him to be able to with supports and definitely struggles, just like overcome all of those obstacles. But if our mindset is I can't, then the answer is I can't. And I love that quote, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. And I think that's such an important thing to live by, especially with children, because they so often will be like, I can't. And I'll be like, well, I guess you're right, because if you're not going to try, then you can't. And that'll always be the answer. But if you think you can, there's a chance that you're right too. And I think that's something that's really, really important is that mindset piece, is like, yes, we can't be always, everything's going to be easy, but it definitely is possible. But it's only possible if we try. And if it's only possible if we come from the mindset of that it is possible. And I think that's something that's really, really important. And I love that start your morning off right piece, and just seek positives, seek good things that happen in your day.
That's lovely, Amanda. I love the way you put that. That's really good. And speak positive in the day, because someone once said to me, the way he hears people speak to themselves, he said to someone once, if somebody else spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, you'd probably slap them. It's true. You know, we're very harsh with ourselves, the language we use, self-defacing, because a lot of times people have been brought up to be very modest. modest is one thing, but self-defacing is another. But yeah, what we seek. So I would ask people to think about this in your life when you're going out there. How could you change the way you think of what's going to happen? What things have you got coming up in your diary in the next couple of hours, couple of days, couple of weeks coming up, where you think you have a slight bit of trepidation about them? But where you realize, and this is sometimes I do it, if somebody else was going into that same situation, they would not be looking at it as the same way as myself. Why is that? What is it? Well, what it really is their mental approach would be different. And you ever been somewhere where you, oh my God, it's going to be like this, and your friend's like, no, that's all right, it's no big deal, it's okay. And you think, how can they be so casual about it? But you know what? They get exactly the outcome they expected. And you do too. Now, you two different people, two different experiences. What is it? It is that, I'm convinced, it is the way you enter the conversation. I was with some people a while ago, and they was in that complaining mood, not about me, but about something. And it was, oh my God, this has happened. This, oh, and it was one of those things. But yeah, something had happened. It had gone a little bit wrong, but it wasn't the end of the world. And I said, yeah, you're right, it did go wrong. But you know what? Worse things happen at sea. And they went, yeah. They just realized they was caught up in that loop of complaining, and like, nobody died. You know, it was okay. It was all right. Everybody went home and had the dinner and just got on with their life. It wasn't that bad. Well, I cannot remember the exact example, but it was like, okay, something's gone a little bit. It wasn't my fault, but something had gone wrong. It wasn't related to me, just something that was going on around where we were. And I was like, yeah, but we're going to get around it, aren't we? It's all right. We can choose to give ourselves a tough time over it and ruin a day, or we can choose to use it as a problem-solving situation. Hey, how can we get around this, guys, as a team? What can we do? Let's see how great we are at solving problems. We can look at it like that. And we did, and it was a tiny little thing, but it just made him realize, and it was a guy, how he was making a big deal. Or as the TV advertisement used to say here, there was insurance TV advertisement years ago, and it was very funny. And it would be going into an old traditional gentleman's washroom in a corporate company, and they'd be washing their hands in their suits. And then suddenly one would look at the camera and start singing and dancing. So it became like a stage show. And it worked on the, there was an old song, There May Be Troubles Ahead. And they said, there may be troubles ahead. And it was all very like 1930s style. And they said, but while there's moonlight, romance and laughter, and then they carried on. And then the company would come in and they say, we will not make a drama out of a crisis. And I like that. If there's a crisis, something goes wrong, okay, that's gone wrong. How are we going to fix it? Don't make all the theatrics about it. Don't have all the drama. That makes it 10 times worse. If you just deal with the thing in hand, that's it. So this insurance company would say, we will not make a drama out of a crisis. And they had this whole sort of stage show thing behind it. It was very funny, very unexpected. So it was a great advertisement because it captured your focus and it was novel. So if you create focus and novelty, you can catch the audience's imagination. And they mastered that beautifully with this wonderful phrase. So they took something from one genre, put it into another, unexpectedly, and with a key catchphrase, and then the company name at the end. It's like, I get it. And it always stuck in my mind. Very funny too. So yeah, ask yourself, you know, are we making a drama out of a crisis with our words, with our expectancy? Why don't we look at it a different way? Anthony Robbins used to say, when problems come your way, he would say, bring it on, give me more of it, I can deal with it. And he'd take it almost like a competition, which is kind of an interesting twist on it, really. He's like, yeah, come on, bring it on, let's have it, you know. And he was like that. And when you take that attitude, not that you want to welcome problems, but if you take that attitude towards them, it's a whole different energy. Whole different energy. Hey, this is fun. It's like I I don't know, you can sit there and look at the garden and think, oh my God, I've got to do the garden. Or you can think, let's see how beautiful I can make this look while enjoying it as I'm doing it. Different approach. It was once said about leadership is someone who would happily take on all the tasks and do it gleefully. Very true. You can just choose to switch the knob. You know, bad, good, bad, good. And I sometimes, we all fall into it. And oh God, I've got to do this. Doing all the things I know you shouldn't. Say, hang on, you've got to do this. You chose to do this. Last night I was talking about something. Oh, I'm doing this. I'm speaking at this event. I've got to go to, and I've got to. And I said, yeah, but nice quality problem to have. Yeah. Nice quality problem. If they're your problems, they're the problems I want to have. So, be grateful. I'm very, very grateful to have that slight challenge, because it's going to make me an even more resourceful human being. And that means I can help myself more and help more people. And that's what I said I wanted to do anyway. So I'm very grateful, very grateful. And so you have to catch yourself sometimes and just turn that dial, which one, the selector dial, So be grateful, be looking for expectancy of good things, and be looking to help other people. And one way I'll look at this sometimes, I went for a project recently and I said, you know what, I hope it's going to work out. But if it doesn't, I should just find another great opportunity. Anyway, it did work out. It did work out. And sometimes in life, you have to leave a certain group of people and go on to another group of people. I don't know if people have experienced that. I have. And I find that difficult. There's something I don't like leaving certain people. I don't like it. I don't feel good with it. But something I had to remind myself of is you haven't lost those people. You still know them. But if you go to a different environment, be that a new job or something, and you meet other people, it's an opportunity to meet other great people. And most of us have probably been in that situation once or twice before. But when we look back, you think, you know what? Had I not have made that leap and gone there, I never would have met these great people. Who knows? That person could become a husband or a wife, right? And you can meet them and you think, I never, ever would have met them had I not made that leap. And the people you no longer see or don't see often, you haven't lost them. They're still there. They're on the end of a phone. You can go and see them. But you just expand your network and meet more people. More people you meet, the more opportunities there are. So think positively about change and try to see it as an opportunity to open up great new opportunities with wonderful people. And if you expect that, you normally find it. Who's got a comment to make? Always to say something.
Sure. Yeah. No, Grant, that's great. I love all that. So yeah, last night I was just actually going through some old journals, and while thinking about this topic of what you seek is seeking you. And so I actually found an entry from it's from February 27th of 2020. And so this was right for me. It was right. I was feeling really negative about my career choice. I was still obviously a police officer. And so I wrote this entry, and then I'll kind of tell a story after that, and it'll just show how this very much is true. So I wrote, ask, believe, receive. My current profession is completely incongruent with my energy. Night shifts and the negative energy surrounding police work are slowly killing me. I am changing my mindset from if the right opportunity came along to knock on doors and see what happens. Why do I settle and stay doing something I have absolutely no passion for? The obvious reasons are stability, benefits, decent salary. Why leave and explore my passions? Freedom, happiness, fulfillment, enjoyment, flexibility, time with those I love. What do I choose? Freedom, happiness, fulfillment, enjoyment, flexibility, time with those I love. I am asking for this and believe I am worthy. I am worthy. So this is February of 2020. So I was still in I was in a unit called gang suppression at the time. So within within like basically a month of this entry, I was no longer in that unit. Just the way kind of life worked out, I ended up with an opportunity to go into working from home on my computer, not having to deal with the public directly. And then, so that position was amazing for me, just where I was at. Obviously, you can kind of get a sense of where I was at, not really that happy with my profession. And then fast forward another few months, and I had a full breakthrough at work. Most would call it a breakdown, and I definitely did for a while as well. But looking back with the benefit of hindsight, it was 100% a breakthrough. So I look at this entry and it's like, what am I seeking? And I'm seeking all of those things: the happiness, freedom, fulfillment, all that. And so I write it down and I declare it. And within a matter of, well, a very short order, a matter of months, my life had been completely flipped upside down. And at the time, it felt like chaos and like tragedy, and like it was a lot of it was really scary, right? Because I'm way outside my comfort zone. But again, to have even look at it a little bit more zoomed out and from that 30,000 foot view, and it's like, well, I got exactly what I was asking for. So what I was seeking was 100% seeking me. For me, I just had to declare it, and then the balls were rolling and things shifted in a big way. So kind of highlights, I guess, a few things is that yes, 100% what you seek is seeking you. And the other thing is, be careful what you ask for, because if you're not ready, like this, what happened for the way my kind of end of my career unfolded, if I wasn't ready for it, it could have really been a bad thing and put me in a bad place if I wouldn't have accepted that change and realized that, okay, this feels chaotic right now, but this is exactly what needs to happen in order for the next thing to come, and not even knowing what that next thing is or how anything's going to unfold, just sort of relaxing and trusting into it. So it was cool to find that entry, and then just to think of where I was at mind space wise at that time, and how much things have changed since then.
That's a hell of a story, Nick. That's a hell of a story. That really is. And it's, look at the words you were using in that journal. It was incredible. You know, words are powerful. You put them in your mind, because words, something I often talk about is visualization, because it used the most ancient part of your brain long before we had language. But I talk about mantras, writing, things like manifests, because when you do them, they trigger what in your mind? They trigger a visual. Yeah, even if you say a word, like empowerment, you'll see yourself in an empowered mode, right? You'll see yourself in a position of empowerment, or you'll see something in your mind, whether it be you standing up, laughing, smiling, you'll see something. So they are a trigger, what I call a starter. They start something, they trip start something. So words, manifestations are good because they trigger a visual, which is one of the oldest part of the brain there, long before we had language. And that's when it gets powerful. It starts to get deep rooted. So yeah, when it comes back to what Amanda was saying about morning routines, what could you put in a routine? I mean, I've got my own morning routine, but I'm sure Amanda's got some great parts to add for morning routines and what could be included there. And especially for someone who's a busy mum, right? Because, I know some people would spend 1.5 hours. Seriously, I know what you're thinking. How on earth has someone got 1.5 hours to spend on a morning routine? Well, yeah, they have. Yeah, they make the time, but it is a sacrifice because their brain's going crazy in the meantime, thinking, I could be doing X, Y, and Z. But they're setting it up. And they said when they spend that much time on setting their day up, the rest of the day is so streamlined. It's so efficient and they get so much done. Even with that limited amount of time, they get so much done. Most importantly, and I was discussing this with a friend of mine last night, that when you get home from work, wherever your work is, you're in much better condition than when you've not prepped yourself up properly. You get home, and he was talking about driving, actually. He's a professional driver. And, you know, he said when he was younger, he used to drive a bit fast to get home. And he said, but when you do that, you're kind of rattled when you get home. And when you just drive at a normal, regular pace, you get home about 2 minutes later. It makes no difference at all. But you're in much better condition and no one's been endangered. It's way, way smarter. And this guy used to drive a little bit faster when he was younger. But he said that, no, he said, I've changed my ways. You know, I just doodle along. I get home, I listen to music, and I just drive home. And I get home, like you say, 2 or 3 minutes later, which makes no difference at all. He said, and I'm relaxed, and life is better. But of course, that all starts with the beginning of your day when you're setting it up, how you're prepping out your day. Amanda, what would you say about about morning routines? As a busy mum, how could someone have a busy morning routine, an effective routine, where they can set their day up properly, despite having a household to run and kids, etc.? What do you think?
Well, I think so much of it is about intention and also about like knowing where your strengths are. So I know my strength isn't hopping out of bed, but I want to do a meditation in the morning. So I will set my alarm a little bit earlier, and then I'll turn on the meditation, and then I'll listen to that, and then I'll get up. And that actually helps me get up better, because I don't love getting up, but I also find too, like I plan ahead, like, okay, this day is my shower day. This is the day that I curl my hair. This is the day that I wear my hair up, like ahead, so that I know how my morning will structure. But I also actually try to work for an hour before I go to work on my different projects too. So that is trying, like, scheduling in my day the different projects that I have and the different things that I'm working on. So like one of them is working on a couple of different collaborative books, and so I'll do a little bit of work on that in the morning, or a little bit of work on that in the evening, and then also on building some courses. So again, just scheduling in bits of time throughout your day. And people will be like, how do you work full time and have a child and like run a house by myself and do all those things? And it's like, because I'm intentional about my time. And so if my daughter is at volleyball, I'll just go sit in my car and I'll work on my computer while she's in volleyball or something, like not in an actual game, but in a practice, right? Or if there's like a 20-minute time, I'll just like get on my phone and I'll start working on something or whatever it is, right? If people say, oh, I'm too busy to meditate, well, then you should actually meditate for an hour, right? And because if you look at your time, if you time block, you actually have a lot more time than you think you have. And every single one of us, I think it's like 83,000 something seconds that we have every single day. And we get to choose how we use those seconds. And so too, like there's different things you can do to be more efficient with your time. And I think that time efficiency is something that's really, really important, because that's something that I get super frustrated with at work, is if people are wasting my time in meetings. I'm like, oh my goodness. Please stop wasting my time. Like, this is so useless. And that's something that I struggle with in relationships too. I'm like, don't waste my time, because time's something that we don't ever get back, right? That's the one thing that we can't make more of. You can make more money, you can make more, but we can't make more time. Time is something that we only have a certain amount of when we're here on this plane, on this earth, and it's something that I think is super, super valuable. And so even things like making lunches, I always find it bizarre how sometimes people make lunches, like make dinner, clean up, and then we'll make lunches later, or make lunches in the morning when they're already rushed. And so I like make dinner, and then when I'm cleaning up dinner, I make lunches at the same time, so that it's only one cleanup, and then everything's ready and we're ready in the morning. And that's something like I seek being organized, and I seek having everything just so that I can be more time effective. And I'm not running around the house in the morning being like, do you have a lunch? Do you have this? Do you have that? It's like, it's already ready. We're prepared. We can have hopefully a good morning, and just have it run smoothly. And I think that it takes time, and I know when my daughter was little, getting her dressed in the morning and like out the door was so stressful. And so I just switched it to, we would pick out her outfit the night before, so that we couldn't argue in the morning. We could argue in the evening about those things. And then the morning would run so much smoother, because she'd be like, okay, and she'd get their stuff on. This is like when she's like 2 and 3 and 4, because she's been very demanding from day one. But when you just shift your thinking on things, it can just make things run so much smoother. So instead of like just constantly butting heads, I can just shift my thinking into, how can I make this run smoother, right? And then that way to make it run smoother is also seeking me as well. What do you guys think? How do you shift your day so that the things that you are seeking have time to come to you?
For me, it's I've been really leaning into prayer more and more lately, and so yeah, just praying that things unfold in the most advantageous way for me, whatever that is, whatever I have coming up. And I've been finding that really helpful. Whatever it's doing, whether it's creating that energy and then it's coming back to me, or whether it's just my RAS is being activated, and so I'm just focusing on those positive things. Whatever it is, I'm not questioning it. It's been something that's been really I guess empowering too, right? Because that's something that I'm doing that's having a positive effect on how my days are unfolding. So that's something that I've been doing lately. How about you, Grant?
Thanks, Nick. For myself, it's not great in the mornings, not great at waking up in the mornings like you, Amanda. So I don't do that. I've designed my life around it. I wake up at a given time. Do not rush out of bed. That doesn't work for me. I can do it. I've done it. I'm very effective at doing it, but 2 hours later I crash. It doesn't work for me at all. I'm a slow waker upper, and I do that effectively. I wake up and I sit there. I think, what am I going to do? Right. I'll go out of bed. I'll meditate for a while. I have a thing I do with water, etc. A certain amount of water I'll have in the morning, a certain amount of fruit, which I'll eat as well. And I'll do that. And it's quite a process. Then I'll do this. Then I'll sit there and meditate. Then I'll think what I'm going to do. I'll check all the emails to say, okay, anything I really need to deal with urgently. And that will take quite a while, emails and messages and social media, the whole bit, and I'll do that. And when I do those, I tend to do those once a day. So if people say, I emailed you, at lunchtime, I said, yeah, I'll see that tomorrow. I'm not becoming a slave on emails. Somebody asked me yesterday, can we have your email address for people to contact you? I'm like, what for? No, that's not, they'll go through that channel. If they want, there's somebody else who will handle that. I can't be spending my time on that. I will answer certain things. I'll have someone who will filter those for me and bring the need to know ones to me. And I'll deal with that. So that my time, I have to have free thinking time. So important, so that I can take charge of my life rather than my life taking charge of me. Very important. So I will not become a slave to emails. They will all be responded to, but at a designated time when I deal with it. If something's urgent, people have an emergency contact for me. If it's urgent, a short message service where they can send that, and that will get responded to much, much quicker. But of course, it limits down. So it's very much about how I organize message and information coming in. I don't do ad hoc meetings. I had a conversation with a company the other day. I said, are you okay with ad hoc meetings? I said, no. Scheduled meetings, yes. And then they said, we schedule a meeting. Where will the next one be? I said, the same time next week. That's when it's scheduled in the doc. That's when it will be. If there's an emergency thing, just send me a brief message and I'll respond to that. But if we do it properly, it should all be done in the scheduled meetings. If there is an ad hoc meeting, it must be a real emergency, not just hey, I had some harebrained idea. No, I'm not. I can't work like that. There isn't time to do that. So knowing those boundaries and saying that, and I still got the deal. It's okay. It's okay. I still got the deal. So for me, meditation, and yesterday, for example, there was quite a lot going on in a compressed time frame, and I could feel a little bit of anxiety creeping in. And I thought, hang on, stop, get one of those, sat by the window, looked out and looked at the autumn leaves and the sun just beating off the window. I thought, just take 10 minutes, just sit here, just stare into space, look at the beauty of nature, have a cup of tea for 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, good to go. Let's get back to it. Completely different way of approaching it after that. I could feel the anxiety coming in. I was like, stop it. Take 10 minutes out, relax yourself, feel so damn grateful for this opportunity you got. And how can I make that work? So I could put that there. Could I move that there? Could I do? Yeah, it all fits. So someone said to me, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I'll find a way. It's just a question of finding square pegs, round holes, and moving them around a little bit. And it all fits quite nicely. It just needed a little bit of time out just to think clearly, which always reminds me of one of my favorite stories. I love aviation, as you know, and I'm always reading aviation books. And there was a story of a fairly senior airline captain. It's a very silver-haired guy, and of course they always have to do regular checks, what they call check rides. And he said he had a young, hotshot 25-year-old check ride pilot assessing him, right? And he's sitting there, and he's in the simulator, and he says, "Okay, so there you are. You've got an engine failure. A lady's giving birth, and a guy's having a heart attack. What do you do first?" The guy's just sat there, looked at his watch, round his watch. Okay, do that, do this, do that. Done the whole assessment in the simulator, landed the plane on the debrief. The guy's checking. He said, "You see, the check pilot said to him, I've got to ask you though the question." He said, "When I threw all that terrible situation at you, lost an engine, someone's having a heart attack, the woman's going into labour, you wound your watch for 30 seconds. What the hell was that about?" And he said, "Son," he said, "in my career, 40 odd years of career flying, he said, I've seen an awful lot of people make some very quick decisions, very bad decisions very quickly, and create a huge problem. He said, I've never killed anyone by winding my watch for 30 seconds. He said, it gave me 30 seconds to think it through, think of the best plan of action." He went, okay. I later found out airline pilots quite often have 33 seconds allocated for decision making. He took 30 and got it right. He knew his job very, very well. Don't rush, just think, what do I need to do? I remember years ago, I used to run a very big operation in the security industry. And there was always lots and lots of stuff happening all the time. I walked into the control room and there was a guy who liked to make a problem. And he said, "Hey, this has happened, that's what's happened. You're the manager, make a decision." I said, "Calm down. But it's important." I said, "Yeah. And it's urgent. It needs an answer in 2 minutes. Let's think." So I got that. He said, "We need quick decisions." I said, "No, you don't. Someone just told you do." Because they told you, it doesn't mean to say it's real. I know how to do it, and I know how long I've got. I said, "Okay, we're going to do that, and you inform them and tell them. You're not going to do this. No, you're the control room. That's what you're for. I made the decision. I tell you, you pass the message. Done." And it was done with no panic. But they wanted to create a problem. They wanted to panic people because it became the culture to panic and to be stressful. Like, why would you want that to be the culture? Yes, you've got to make a decision, but why do you do it coolly and calmly? Change the culture. Change the culture, change your outcome. And that's what I wanted to say. And that comes back to what you seek is seeking you. It's all out there waiting for you. Depends what box you want to check. I would rather go for the more relaxed one because life's an easier journey, feels more accomplished. And the more relaxed you can be, guess what? It makes the people around you more relaxed. The more relaxed they are, you guessed it, it bounces back to you and makes you more relaxed. And you can get more done. You can be energetic, but relaxed, but not stressed. And I think it's a much better way of dealing with it. And when you look at people who deal with the most high stress situations, they've got to be calm. They've got to be. It's very easy to lose your head, and that can be average. Why not be extraordinary and be able to deal with great things easily? Angie Robbins said, bring it on. I can deal with it all. And when you take that approach, or when you have a system, i.e. one person makes the decision, passes the message to someone else, it's easier. I had a meeting, a big thing happening. Yeah, I had to cancel something because of the passing of the Queen. A big meeting, so the protocol was to cancel. Big meeting, lots of dignitaries and things coming. Found the protocol, and I had to quickly inform by email loads of people. Then I thought, I hope they got the emails. Certain departments I need to phone. You know what? This person will be in charge of all them people. I haven't got charge to read all them. I'll just ring that person and say, can you inform that person, that person, that person? That's your department. Can you ring them? You just broke the whole thing down. In the end, I made about 5 phone calls and everybody was informed easily. Simple stuff, just break it down, delegate, it's calm. You can achieve an awful lot by doing just an average amount of work. So it is, as someone once said, it's not a question of resources, it's a question of resourcefulness. And that way it allows you more free space in your mind to seek out what you want to seek rather than what's willing to seek you. So it's a question of choosing how you want to live your life. That's what I wanted to say. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, and even choosing when things do go wrong is to how you look at them can really make a big difference on how they impact you too, right? Like things that maybe seem like a disaster, chaos at the time. It's even in the moment you can be like, okay, I don't know what the lesson is here, or I don't know how this all works out, but this is happening for me. Rather than, oh my God, this is happening and this is happening and this is so bad and everything's happening to you, is to take that moment and that deep breath and realize that you don't have to necessarily know what the end result is, but how you view it, whether it's, that chaos kind of piece, or if it's like, okay, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this? It seems to make a huge difference in how that event impacts you. And then moving forward, you can avoid that, or, having heeded the lesson, it's seems like the universe doesn't then need to reteach you that same lesson. So that's definitely something that I try and key on. And I just always really enjoy listening to both Grant and Amanda and all their insight on all these topics. This has been great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say if you guys have anything to wrap up with, but while you were talking, I just was looking up because you were talking about that chaos piece, and then it popped into my mind the chaos theory, which is essentially within all of the randomness, there's actual patterns, and I just had to like relook it up to make sure that I was like, was I right about what chaos theory is? And essentially it's a theory of mathematics and science that shows that even within the chaos, there's actually patterns within it, and it's something that maybe if you are feeling that there is a little bit of chaos in certain things to look up, because there is some science that is looking into that theory, and it's really fascinating. But also is liking what Grant was saying on that, and I was thinking of that react versus respond. And if you learn to just stop and take a breath and breathe and take what you said, let's take that 30 take a look at things from further back. When you're reacting in that moment, it's maybe not the best thing, but if you can take a step back and look at hindsight, or just take a step back in that moment, give yourself time, your body time to adjust, and your mind time to adjust, and you actually are going to react in a much much better way. And so that's something that I think everyone can work on, and in different scenarios we have different skills in that. And I just think too, if you're seeking chaos, then that's what chaos is going to bring. But actually, even the chaos theory shows patterns patterns within it, and that what's seeking you is coming in so many different ways. And it's amazing when you open yourself up to what you want. Like Nick had said, this is what I'm seeking, and then all of it in 2 years has come towards you. It's so amazing. And I think that one of the things that I've been seeking is connection with all these people to help me grow, and the talk show is one of those things that does that for me. Any last words, Grant or Nick, before we go?
My ones were very simple, really, and it is just plan your day. Think ahead. Don't let life take you over. Take some time out, even if it is that 5 minutes to clarify your mind and think, where am I going? You can do meditation. If you haven't got an hour to meditate, you haven't got 15 minutes, you can do it in 3 minutes. Everybody can make 3 minutes. 3 minutes to clear your mind and think, what do I want to happen today? How can I make it go smoothly? If you just do that, life will go better, and you will seek the things that you want to be seeking you. That's what I want to say. Nick?
Yeah, I guess the end goal for me is to know myself, and not just like, you know, my strengths and weaknesses and all that, but the part of me that is connected to all of existence. And I think when you can get to that point and realize that we're all connected, and that thoughts are energy, and all of those things, and you create your reality with your thoughts, that to me is the end goal. And that's definitely something that I'm working on daily. And well, Grant, you touched on it, how quickly you caught that anxiety creeping in there the other day, and that's amazing. And that's the goal, right? Is to be able to catch those negative thoughts before they turn into a whole day, a bad week, and then you know, it just snowballs from there. So that's the work. Absolutely.
All right, everyone. I think that's it for us. And for today, if wherever you are, it's morning here. Just set an intention for the day, and set an intention of positivity, and see all the positives that come to you. You'll be amazed. Bye, everyone.